Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Leon.
And we're going to talk about some technology, video games, and some other stuff.
Right.
But what's up first today?
Up first today is the Sony conference that unveiled the PlayStation 4.
And what do we know about it?
Well, interestingly, they sort of went straight for some of the technical stuff. And they mentioned that it's going to have a processor that's x86 based, which is pretty interesting. Moving away from the previous generation that had the cell architecture.
So I think the cell architecture was PowerPC, right?
Similar, like instruction set.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're getting back to basics.
We're getting back to something that everybody's comfortable with, that developers like working with. It's easy for them to port stuff cross-platform. Very PC-like, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So we heard that it's going to have 8 gigs of memory, of GDDR5 fast memory.
Oh, like the dancing game? GDDR?
It does remind you of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not, I guess.
Not it. Something else. Something more technical.
Okay.
It's going to be a unified memory pool. So which means that the graphic memory and the program memory is going to be shared. It's going to be one big place. So it's not going to be split.
So that was like just the hardware specs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we got a taste of some of the features, some of the new stuff that they're going to be featuring for the new console.
Yeah, that's. I was more interested in the features than anything else.
Yeah.
So they're kind of plugging this system as the center of entertainment this time around. Kind of like what Panasonic did with the 3DO. We're not a game system. We're an entertainment system. So Nintendo did the same thing.
They've kind of been all singing that song for a while.
Yeah, right.
And they inch towards it.
They're dying to be the center of your media hub. So let's see. What did they have?
They talked about some of the game playing features, actually, right?
Yeah.
They talked about being able to suspend your game in the middle of a game anytime. You could put a game to sleep.
That was cool.
And when you want to play again, you just resume. It's got like a fast resume.
So you're in the middle of like a 10-hour game of like Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And you didn't get to a save point. Say there's like a save point. And you're like, damn, like I gotta go to sleep. Sometimes we have to sleep.
Unfortunately. And we can't play games while we're sleeping.
Yet. But we'll get to gaming dreams later.
That's right.
So that you would just kind of like almost put it like in a sleep mode, like a hibernate your system.
Yeah.
And then you can come back to it the next day. So that's really cool.
Yeah, they really stressed that. They said like no more, waiting 3 to 5 minutes for your game to boot up and then your save game to load and then you're, losing focus while that's happening. You can just jump right in and out of games. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty awesome.
Background downloading, they kind of mentioned that.
Yeah, so they're saying now instead of waiting 20 minutes to download, an 8 gig file, or whatever long it would take you, now you can, as it's downloading, you can actually play it. You can play the parts that it's downloading. I don't know how that's going to work, but I like it.
Yeah, I think what they're hinting at is that, when a game first starts, you're in a certain part of the game, and you don't need the rest of the game that you haven't reached yet. So you basically get enough to start the game, and you can start playing. And meanwhile, the rest of the game keeps
downloading in the background with no lag or anything.
Yeah, so that's not a bad thing for games that are distributed online. That seems to make sense. They also mentioned a feature that lets you share your gameplay, videos of your game.
This was one of my favorite features. So basically you have an actual button on the controller that says share. So say you're playing a fighting game and you do this awesome move or you're playing a friend and you want to share that moment with somebody. Press the share button and it's going to bring up a screen with video clips of, I guess, your past,
Yeah, apparently the system is like
it's like
constantly recording your gameplay.
Like a DVR. So basically it's a DVR of live gaming.
Yeah.
So now all you got to do is just click the share and you can edit and capture
and upload all in one shot. You don't have to like offload to your computer and then work on it later. You can just do it right on the spot.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That changes the whole social aspect of gaming if
Yeah.
it works as they say it's going to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in addition to that, they have a spectate mode too, where people can watch other people play. Either your friends or whatever.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting because they mentioned like you can watch your friends play a game, and then your friend can get stuck at a spot in a game, and then you can kind of jump into their console.
Yeah.
Through the network, like you don't even have to be in the same room.
You can like call for help. It's like calling a lifeline.
And then like you can be like, oh, I beat that boss before, so you take over, and you beat the boss, and then your friend can continue the game after that.
Sounds like
that's
some really interesting integration with social media and all that.
Definitely, yeah.
But with their new sort of cloud streaming features, you'll be able to try a full game, the original game. They'll be able to present it to you in a way that you can just play it live over the net.
For cheapskates like myself, I am liking that very much.
Right, yeah, you don't want regrets about buying horrible games.
I hate future regret. I hate it.
You have to avoid that.
At all possible.
Yep. So that has a lot of potential. And I think they sort of hinted that that's the same way that they're going to be able to provide some compatibility with older games too.
Yeah, so they're claiming for all those people that moaned because the PlayStation 3 took away emulation and backwards compatibility.
With PS2 games, yeah.
Yeah, so now they're going to give you full backwards compatibility of PS1, PS2, PS3, and I think, I don't think 3. I think just up to PS2 and then Vita or something like that.
They didn't really get into it that much, but
they
kind of hinted at it, and I think more information will be forthcoming.
Yeah, they didn't really give too many details. If most likely you're going to have to rebuy all your games, but they weren't clear on that, so I don't want to speculate. And
yeah,
I can't imagine them giving away a whole library of games for free.
It's going to cost them a significant back end.
I think so
to keep that running. So
unless they have something,
I'm sure there's a cost associated
up their
with
sleeve. Who knows?
Yeah. So the other thing that they mentioned also was how the PS Vita is going to have a bigger role to play in the greater PlayStation universe. It's going to act as a second screen to your PS4.
Finally.
So you'll be able to in your house. I'm assuming over Wi-Fi locally. You can that you're playing a game on your PS4 on the TV, and then it's time for your family's favorite show to come on, and they want to take over the TV. You'll be able to switch the game over to your Vita. You have a full control. You have the 5-inch screen, and you can continue to play the PS4 game streamed to your Vita live.
So it's like it's almost like you're going to mirror the image onto your Vita.
Uh-huh.
How cool is that?
Yeah, very similar to what the
awesome.
Wii U can do, oddly enough. But it seems like that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So of course they did that. They also spent some time on the new controller, the DualShock 4.
Yes. Not a huge surprise because it kind of got leaked out.
Yeah, it looked exactly like what was leaked a couple weeks ago.
It's pretty much nothing drastically different. It looks a lot like the DualShock. In fact, they're calling it the DualShock 4.
Right.
And it's going to have a better vibrator. Is that what they call it?
Rumble feature.
Rumble feature.
Yeah, it vibrates in your hands or wherever you leave it.
And it's going to have a touch pad, kind of like a little trackpad on there.
Right.
That they didn't describe yet what it's used for, but I'm imagining for navigating or games possibly. And then it has a light feature.
Yeah, it's got the light bar.
It has a light bar on the top of the
front.
control. And apparently for that, well, the thing is, the light's going to interact with this other device that comes with your PS4, which is going to be a camera system.
Yeah, so pretty much, I guess, a new version of what the PlayStation Eye camera has been like. And
that's what I got out of it, along with a kind of Wii setup.
Yeah, well, the light bar seems to take the place of the Move controller. So basically, you're gonna have Move controller functionality built into the DualShock.
Okay.
Headphone jack right on the controller too.
Right. Yeah.
They showed that.
Headsets.
So for voice chat and things like that, it'll be convenient. And the share button, like you mentioned.
And the share button, yeah. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, so it looks like just an extension of the existing successful PlayStation controller design. It looks like it'll be, a good fit. I was a little concerned about the positioning of the touchpad. It's above the analog sticks.
Yeah, they did choose.
I think that might work out well. I thought it would be more comfortable below the way the...
Like the Xbox Messenger attachment is.
Right, yeah, I thought it would be like that, but that's okay. I'm sure they probably tested it both ways and they figured out this would be the best way.
They basically eliminated the select start button that's on it and put the trackpad instead, so you're not really like gaining bulk to the controller.
Right. Yeah. But I guess that's about it for the hardware, and they showed off some software to go along with things, some new games.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the games to me looked a lot like just tech demos. Mm-hmm. I didn't really feel like, I don't know, like nothing really said, oh, I have to get this because this game looks really good. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's understandable to launch. These are all going to be launch titles, and those are always like kind of PS3 games that they're converting to a PS4 to make the graphics look a little better.
Yeah.
So nothing overwhelmed me, but they did look good, what they showed. I mean, Killzone looked pretty spectacular, I think. The graphics look good. It looked like a movie.
It looked good to me.
The slightly erotic club drive.
Drive club, right?
Yeah, drive club.
Yeah.
Would you call it car porn?
The guy was really way into his vehicles.
He was really into it.
Square Enix showed up.
Right, yeah.
Seemed to hint at a new Final Fantasy, of course. They said this year, but that probably just means that we'll get more information this year.
Yeah.
Not that there'll be a new game ready to go.
I don't know. I'd be surprised. Bungie,
through Activision, I believe they were showing their new title, Destiny.
Yeah.
So that's going to be on PS3 and PS4. Which is interesting. I guess Sony's going to keep that alive. They've got a huge install base for PS3 that they don't want to ignore.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it seems like they've already started developing some of these games on PS3, so they're just going to probably dual release Diablo 3.
Right. Also a dual release.
Huge announcement.
Yeah. It's a big deal to get Blizzard on the stage.
Yeah. I'm excited for that game. That's actually one. That's out of all the games, I'm probably most excited about that. Because I'm not a computer gamer, but you are, and you said, "Well, that's kind of a waste. Like anyone who wants to play Diablo 3 already bought it."
Well,
but I don't
or
play.
They could.
I don't like. They could, yeah.
Yeah.
But I like to play things on console, so.
And they mentioned that they've got a tweaked control system that will make the game feel very natural on a gamepad.
I'm looking forward to playing that.
We also saw Media Molecule showing off, some puppets, some virtual puppets with Move controllers.
Weird, right?
I don't really know what that was.
It seemed cool, but that was kind of what they were talking about by bringing your dreams to life.
Right.
So I don't see really how those two kind of went together.
Yeah.
But I guess dreams as in your imagination. But I still don't know how
could be
how it works. So
I think that's something they're gonna have to expand on to really.
But it looks cool. They're molding things with a controller in like a kind of virtual reality.
Yeah. And then we had, I guess, Jonathan Blow, the creator of Braid, showed off something called The Witness. He seemed very, very comfortable.
He did. Yeah.
That was my impression that I got.
It looked cool, but
no, Watch Dogs looks like it has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
I was excited when I saw that last year at E3.
Yeah,
and it's looking like it's making progress. So, I think overall it was a pretty interesting presentation. They, looks like they've got a full arsenal of stuff to entice us.
I like a lot of the features. I think some of the features sound really, really good. Like, I'm really excited about it, but they didn't really show them. They were just kind of on paper. The games they showed were just graphic demos.
Yeah, these are bullet points at this point to, sort of say, here's our goals for this system, and here's where we want to take things. As soon as they have more games to show, and we'll see how that integrates into things.
Yeah.
Really see them in action. So, what else you got?
So the next thing up is this week, or not this week, this month.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft finally released the Surface Pro.
Right.
And now every time I see the Surface Pro, I always think of something. And I put together this quick little video that I'm going to play now. So take a look at this.
See, the beauty of my book is, if you don't have a coffee table, it turns into a coffee table.
What if I just want to watch a movie or listen to music and do something else? So we built a stand into the device.
Table. Did I tell you this guy was Bunkos?
Okay, so... I don't know. I always think when I see the Surface, those two images of Kramer come to my head. But when it comes down to it, it's a very expensive device.
Mm-hmm.
And
not to start.
Is it living up to all the hype?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, it's basically the Surface Pro is a tablet PC running Windows 8 with the integrated touch features. It looks like a sleek sort of device, and compared to some of the other heftier tablets that have come before, that have been full-blown PCs. And that's the thing to sort of point out, is that the Surface Pro is a full copy of Windows. You can run normal Windows applications. Anything that comes up for Windows 8 plus anything that came before that. Looks pretty good to me. It's a nice screen from what I saw. Full 1920 by 1080 resolution screen.
Yeah, but I just wonder, why spend the money on that when you can get an Ultrabook?
Right.
For pretty much the same or even cheaper.
Mm-hmm. I suppose if tablet functionality is what you're after, that's the benefit that sort of brings to the table. I mean, for me, the question is not so much the Windows or the Surface Pro version versus a normal laptop. It's more like, do I want this or do I want the Windows RT version? The Surface RT tablet seems to have other benefits compared to the Pro version.
Yeah, so you'll save a little money also.
It's a little cheaper. It's closer to the tablet experience, instant on type features and very lightweight apps and things like that. But I don't know. They look very similar. I'm still concerned about customer confusion and whether people will really be able to tell them apart.
Yeah, I mean, from a business standpoint, I see it maybe. I don't see it really as a consumer item.
Mm-hmm. You think it has more place in a business
right
space?
now? Yeah, down the line maybe as technology gets cheaper and.
I guess we'll see what other software comes about. I mean, for me, it's still a matter of how many apps can you really get, what types of software really uses that functionality. Mm-hmm. It's Windows, so certainly you would expect a lot of attention there, but they're competing with iPads and Android tablets. So. And
speaking of iPads, they released the 128 gigabyte for all the people complaining. Of course, they charged you a lot extra. I think it's $100 extra, but
following the same pattern as all the other iPad models. Yeah, so for one thing, the price did seem a little high to me. I mean, even though you're getting the largest iPad to date, I feel like maybe it was time for the 16 gig to go, and drop the 32 down to the $500 entry level point.
I agree.
And $600 for 64 and $700 for 128.
Mm-hmm.
$800 for the 128. It's a tough pill.
I know.
So the question on my mind is, do you really need a 128 gig iPad?
Of course. Of course you need 100. Listen, you need a 256, but they don't make that one yet. So
yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, to be honest, I've had my iPad for a couple of years now, and I bought a 64 gig first gen iPad, and to date, I'm maybe only using about half of it. But that's just mostly apps. I know you've got a 32.
You've seen mine, right?
You have a 32, and you have way more apps than I do. So I think...
I don't have any videos or music, keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
It is all apps.
Solid apps.
And it is packed. It's filled to the brim.
So maybe you're a better candidate for the 128 than I am.
Definitely. So if anyone wants to help me buy 128, just let me know.
Well, I feel like when you buy a new piece of hardware, you should try to max it out if you can afford it, because that's not something you can upgrade.
If you can, that's the key word.
That's the important thing to remember is that, you know.
But at the same time, it's going to get obsolete in a year.
It's going to have better resale value.
Maybe.
The higher model.
You think so?
That's how I look at it.
All right.
I see things as max them out if you can. But that's my approach. So, you've got problems keeping things on your iPad, or
I do.
making room for things on your iPad.
It is a struggle every day. Some people struggle with, life. I struggle with my iPad and how many apps I can fit on this thing.
Mm-hmm. So, can you think of any recent examples of things that you've wanted to get rid of from your iPad?
Yeah. So, basically, Curiosity is the app that's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It is off my iPad.
So you're no longer wondering what's in the cube.
No. I was wondering for a long while, but
Mm-hmm.
I gave up on it. It's just...
So the social experiment of how long can people stay interested in this unknown puzzle? Because that's really part of the question.
Yeah. I mean, I was checking in on it at least once a week.
Mm-hmm.
But it crashed on me so many times, and I lost gold, and every time I started trying to do like multi-touch, getting rid of blocks, another app would open, or some kind. It was just so much. It wasn't fun, basically. And if you're not having fun with an app, then what's the point?
Right. Took the wind out of your sails.
It did, and then plus, it didn't look like much progress was being made, because I would check to see like what the status is. Are we getting close or not? And at this rate we're going now, it's going to be like years. I can always re-download it and see.
Right. So you're probably more interested just in hearing about.
I want to know
what comes down
what's inside
at the end.
I'm curious.
We'll see if people get to it. Yeah.
But unfortunately, it won't be on my iPad. Not this one, anyway. Maybe.
Maybe the 128.
Maybe that 128. Yeah. But how about you?
So I had grabbed this game called Contract Killer Zombies, and I saw a friend playing it, and I thought, okay, looks like a pretty good game. Looks like high quality.
So now, what's this for?
This is for iOS.
Oh, okay.
This is an iPad game. I saw it on my friend's Game Center list, so I thought I'd try it out, and because it's a zombie game, so of course I have to check it out. And it's got great production values. I think it looks like a really first-class type of game, but of course it's free. So I thought, okay, it won't cost me anything to try it. But I quickly found out that unless you're willing to spend money in the game, you're not going to get anywhere. You start off with a simple level that you can clear with your default weapons, but once you start playing it a little bit, you end up in a situation where you have to buy something at the weapons shop to get somewhere in the next level. I was on whatever money I had earned in the game, I spent on a sniper rifle because I thought that would work on the level that I was going to do next, and it turned out I was like in a helicopter and I had to have a grenade launcher, and I tried using any of the pistols I had and that didn't work, so that was the end of that. A little sad. Thought I would, because I wanted to get a little more flavor for the game, and I'm not opposed to spending something on a game that's decent, but or something that will help you get further, if that's what you want. But I feel like the game should be at least playable,
I'm noticing that trend in a lot of these free-to-play.
Mm-hmm.
They hook you in, and you think like, all right, I'm having some fun, and then before you know it, the game just comes to a halt.
Yeah.
And you can't make any progress. And like you said, you can almost justify paying for the in-app purchase, but you almost feel like this is just going to keep going on and going on. Like,
right.
It's just a vicious cycle, and it's better to jump ship before.
Yeah, there's plenty of other games to play.
So that's a permanent delete, right? Do you ever think you'll come back to it?
I don't think so.
No, so that's gone.
Yeah,
right.
Sorry to say, their particular approach to spending money is just not
not
compatible with my
over.
playstyle. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'd be curious to know what other people what they're getting rid of now. Like we're comparing it to iPad apps and stuff, but sometimes you get that game and it just that you buy and it's just totally bombs and it's horrible, and you just gotta sell it back to a store,
Right.
And that rarely ever happens to me, but sometimes I do buy a game and it's just so horrible I can't get. I think the first 3D Castlevania for PlayStation 2, I think, was one of the first games that I was like, I gotta get rid of this game.
That bad, huh?
It wasn't Castlevania.
I never played it because 3D Castlevania. That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah. Well, I'm not that bright.
I
But
didn't say that. You did. Well.
But yeah. So what else? So now.
Well, I've got another question on my mind.
All right, let's hear it. What do you got?
So we've heard about yet another new console today, but there's been other consoles out for a while now that we haven't picked up. Neither one of us have a PS Vita, and neither one of us have a Wii U.
No.
So I'm just wondering, what would it take to buy either one of those?
All right, so this is my feelings now. I completely ruled out the Vita until tonight. Now that I see that they're gonna still put a lot of effort into this portable and the capabilities of it linking to the PlayStation 4. Not that I'm immediately gonna buy a PS4 until I know more about it, but I'm thinking about it. Whereas the Wii U, I'm losing less interest the more time goes on. Where in the beginning I was a little bit interested. Now I'm kind of I can't see what they would present to me at this point that would make me want to go out and buy a Wii U.
Not even a new Zelda game?
Not even a new Zelda game.
Interesting.
Nope.
That's not enough.
No, it's not.
Even one killer, really solid game is not enough.
Because then that's like the Wii, and the Wii just collected dust. It used up a port on my TV.
Those are valuable ports.
They are.
Well, it's certainly an interesting perspective. I can agree to that to some degree.
Yeah.
But for me, the Vita, it looks great. Right now, portable gaming is, filled pretty well by the devices I currently have, either my phone or iPad or something else like that. But there are some games. Certainly, there are a couple of key titles in their library that I was always a fan of. I enjoyed the Wipeout games, so that's probably, if I had the system, I would probably get that. Same with Lumines. I was always a fan of those, and definitely picked those up as well. Even Retro City Rampage came out for the Vita. That's a title that I'm interested in genuinely, and I haven't picked it up for PC or PS3 because I would prefer a portable copy of that game. So that's another candidate if I was going to pick one up. And even Persona 4 came out recently.
It did, yeah.
For Vita. So
a lot of people say that is the system seller right there.
And the definitive version of that game to play as well. It's got some new stuff. So these are all key titles that I would be interested in picking up. But for me, the stopper was always the price of the memory card. The Vita doesn't have any internal memory, and they're really pushing a lot of digital downloads for the system. So, you kind of have to buy a memory card for it, and a 32 gig card is $99.
Really?
For the Vita. So off the bat,
is that from the Apple Store?
You would think so. You might think that. Sony went with yet another proprietary memory system for this console, and that's just too much to add on top of the system cost. I mean, there were some nice Vita bundles over the holidays that just passed.
Yeah.
You can get a Vita for as cheap as $175 with a game.
So there's no knockoff, like those Chinese things you can get from like Deal Extreme or something.
Maybe, but I don't think there's any official like licensed third-party cheaper memory cards.
Oh, okay.
Maybe some clone cards that who knows what you're getting. You plug the card in and it's 32K instead of 32 gigs.
Yeah.
For the Wii U, I mean, I'm still, there's still no killer title that's like a system seller. They recently had their, Nintendo Direct.
Mario Golf, man, come on. That didn't win you over, Mario Golf?
I'm not a golf fan in general, so I don't know. Mario Golf doesn't hold a lot of weight for me.
That was kind of sarcasm a little bit.
They did show off Wii Street U that lets you use Google Street Views on your Wii. I know that's something that everybody's been waiting for.
I'm sure there is somebody out there who not only was excited for Mario Golf, but also Street View.
Yeah, well, that's maybe a little sarcasm. Too. I mean, we heard we heard about some new Luigi DLC for
a new Smash Brothers,
some Animal Crossing.
A lot of promises, but it's like, I don't know how many times can we buy a system based on the same 4 games.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, even
they're probably good. If that's what you like, then that's great.
Right.
They're not bad games. They're just, when you give me a choice, that's I'm gonna go for. I'm gonna look at the whole picture. So, but it's so early. I mean, how can we know for sure?
Right.
Maybe they're both gonna bomb the Xbox and PlayStation 4.
We'll see how they hold up.
Or maybe we just buy everything and be happy.
That's usually been my approach.
I know.
Don't choose. Just get them all.
Just buy everything.
Yeah. I'm being more conservative this time.
No future regret on that.
We want to minimize that.
Yeah. But I mean, all right. So, speaking of things that I buy and that I enjoy, and I'd like to get Bit's opinion too, but there was this game that went free recently called Dungelot, and it's on iPad, iOS, whatever. And it was released, I think, last month, about in January. And when it first came out, I liked the look of it. The whole graphic quality reminded me of Castle Crasher character design.
Yep, definitely.
And, it looked like a puzzle game, so it seemed like something quick that I could pick up and play. But the thing that, it was, I think, $1, and I'm a cheapskate, so I look at I do research even on an item that's $1.
Right.
That's how obsessive I get over things.
Yeah, it might have been $1.99 even at one point.
$1.99 maybe.
So
yeah.
Double the cheapskateness.
Yeah. So I was reading that it was a lot like Mindscape.
Minesweeper.
Minescape's the company that used to make games, right?
Exactly.
All right, so Minesweeper.
A lot like Minesweeper is what the review said.
And I hate that game. I hated
You're not
that.
a fan?
No, not at all. So right there alone, I was like, all right, I'm not going to waste $2 on Minesweeper.
Right. But it turns out that's kind of an unfair comparison.
It is, because the game is not like that at all. Other than the fact that as you reveal tiles, it's going to X out certain titles because monsters are going to be revealed, and they're going to block out titles next to it.
Yeah.
So really what this is a dungeon game, and it has elements of loot, hoarding, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And, you have different character classes that you can power up, you collect money. There's no in-app purchases yet. I can see them easily adding it in a future update. But every dungeon's more or less the same. It is randomized. And as you're playing, you upgrade your sword, you upgrade your shield, you find different magics.
Right.
And that's basically, and as the levels go on, it gets harder and harder.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so the game warns you up front that you're definitely going to die at some point.
Yeah.
But, don't worry about it. You're going to have fun along the way. It's a roguelike game, which means, these are randomly generated dungeons, and, there's some severe penalties for doing the wrong thing, but, hey, it's a type of game that you learn from your mistakes, and you get stronger as you play, and, it's definitely got some really addictive qualities. At least for me, I tried it out, and it is currently free, and it's also available on Android. Yep. It's 99 cents on the Android Play Store. Mm-hmm. So you can have it on multiple platforms. But it's cool that you get to unlock characters as you go, depending on how far you get. You can upgrade your abilities with the coins you earn as you play. So it's definitely going to keep my attention for a while too. I'd give it a solid try it, and definitely you will enjoy it.
Yeah, I give it quadruple thumbs up. If that's possible?
It is possible.
I guess if you're Goro from Mortal Kombat.
Or you use your big toes.
Oh yeah. So and the one thing I wanted to leave out was, it's one of the few games that when you die, they congratulate you for dying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's a feature.
It's like, congratulations, you died.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't feel so... Maybe that's why I like it so much, because I don't feel so bad when I die. I'm like, I actually accomplished something.
It's like winning.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Unless you're on level 55 and...
Now, of course, we need to know what Bit thinks of this. And
let's see.
I mean, it's a magical world. It's a dungeon underground. So I don't know if Bit's going to be 100% comfortable, but we should see, if he's willing or comfortable with the idea. So, what do you think, Bit? Are you gonna check out Dungelot?
Yes.
I'm surprised.
Bit says yes. You're surprised, huh?
I'm always surprised with Bit.
So unpredictable.
Always throws me off. I think it's gonna go one way, it goes the other way.
Yeah.
Very
he's a very shifty character,
constantly changing shape. I can't get a read on him.
Well, all right. Well,
that's worth finding out.
All right. Well, so please subscribe. Can't say this enough. And let us know if there's anything you want to hear or see or play or whatever.
And please give feedback on the things we talked about. We were always interested in hearing what other people have to say about these topics.
And thank you for watching. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.